Hey team, hey team, hey team, hey team. Come on in, let's talk, let's chat. I'm Kim Rogers. I am your fitness influencer and owner of Dynamic Physiques Lifestyle Fitness Studios for Women. I got a great question the other day from one of my Instagram followers, and I wanted to address that question. The question goes like this: how long will it take you to lose belly fat? And how can I begin the process of losing belly fat? So, really great question. And she also had the question too: what is how did she put it? She said, "What is um?" She didn't ask the question about diabetes. She just asked the question, "What is insulin resistance?" Yeah, how does that impact you losing belly fat, right? Okay, so let's just dive in here and talk about. I'm going to give you two things that you can immediately change in order to see a difference in your overall body fat percentage. And we're going to also talk about what is fat. How do you get it? How do you come on? How does it come onto your body? And I don't want you to think about fat as a bad thing, because fat is not a bad thing. Fat, you actually need fat for hormone production. If fat goes too low, you stop producing the hormones you need in your body to regulate your body. So fat is not a bad thing. So let's talk about insulin resistance and how it works. So when you eat food, food is energy. Everything you eat, fats, proteins, and carbs, is broken down into what's called glucose. When glucose hits the system, insulin then goes and knocks on, no, yeah, this little thing goes and knocks on the pancreas door, says, hey, 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 there's some glucose out here in the system, and we need some insulin. So the pancreas then says, okay, well, let me send some insulin out into your system to help bring the glucose down, which is known as your blood sugar. It helps to bring the blood sugar down. What happens is when people become insulin resistant and then they eventually become diabetic, that's where I was when I turned 40. I'm 51 now, 40 years old. I was right at the stages of becoming a diabetic. I was pre-diabetic, meaning my pancreas was sending out insulin, but it was so much glucose in my system, eventually the pancreas just gives up and said, okay, well, this is how the body is supposed to be. Therefore, we're not going to release too much more insulin into your body to bring down that blood sugar. Therefore, you have to begin now taking diabetes medications to help you regulate the blood sugar. I think that there's a misconception with sugar and associating that with diabetes, but I'm here to tell you that the idea behind just eating sugar and sugary foods and carbohydrates gives you diabetes. What happens is, as we continuously overconsume foods, everything that you eat breaks down into glucose, and the overconsumption of food means that you're having the overconsumption of glucose in your system, and the pancreas is constantly trying to bring down and regulate your blood sugar by shipping out this insulin into your body to bring down the blood glucose. And what happens when people becomes insulin resistant is the pancreas said, you know what? I'm only going to send out so much because you're wearing me out. Right? And so the body then becomes insulin resistant, and you have to then go on medications. And anytime you have the overconsumption of calories, any excess energy in the body is stored as fat. It's an energy source. So when you overconsume calories, I think that we focus on, the abdominal area, the belly area, because that's the place that we look at the most, or the back part, which is the lower love handles, or the hips, the thighs, or whatever, the parts that stand out to you. Because her question was, are all of these carbs, making me fat, and how can I get started, and what do I need to do? So here are two things that you can get started with diet changes. All right. So you can just simply start by going out. You can go out to my website. You can go out to My Fat Secret. You can go out to My Fitness Pal and just simply start to track whatever you're eating every single day. Whether you have a bottle of wine and a pint of ice cream before bed, if you get up in the morning and you go by McDonald's and you have a McGriddle in the morning every single day, you're going to get an average of calories over the course of a week of what you are consuming. Some calories may be higher on certain days and some calories may be lower on other days, because the body just knows how to compensate for what it needs. But you will get a daily average of what you need. And then when you use this calculator, you just want to plug in some data. You want to plug in your height, your age, and your current weight. And you're going to get then what your body, or an average of what your body needs to perform in a day, what it needs to survive, what it needs to keep the lights on, keep your eyes blinking and your hands moving, which is called your basal metabolic rate, right? That is the rate at which you burn calories to stay alive. Anything over that rate and you don't use in your daily activity is going to be stored as fat. It's just how the body works. So you can immediately get an average of your daily calories, and you just simply start to move a little bit more, and you want to notice how much are you moving. Most people say, well, I go to the gym and work out 60 minutes a day. Exercise only counts for about 5 to 10% of your daily activity, because you're only spending an hour. And I say only because your activity is what you do in the entire course of the day. So begin to start to pay attention to your daily activity and notice your dietary changes. You do those two things, you're going to see some immediate results. Number two, the second thing that I would do with a client is I would immediately swap out their proteins and fats. Most time when people have gained weight or are gaining weight, they are taking in way more fat than they are protein. For example, you may be taking in 150 grams of fat per day as opposed to only 50 grams of protein. You will only know this if you are being accountable and tracking your progress on a daily basis. That is the only way for you to be accurate and know and understand that, right? So when you begin to start to track your food, track your proteins, your fats, and your carbohydrates, you're going to immediately see, you're going to have some data that you are over intaking the amount of fat. You flip those two around and you're going to notice something. You're going to notice that you're going to feel fuller and stay full for a very, very long time, because protein gives your body more satiety. What protein also does is it sends signals to your muscles to burn calories, right? So I hear people in the gym say, I just need to go in the gym and just pump weights without changing their nutrition, okay? Right? Without changing their nutrition or without adding protein, thinking that they are going to build muscle, which in turn they could actually be tearing that muscle down. And you want your muscle to come back bigger, better, and stronger. So you need protein for that. How much protein do you want to take in? This is tip number 3. You want to aim for your goal weight in protein, whatever that weight is, right? You may not hit it, but you need to have some type of target. My dad used to say an unwise man is like a man going to the edge of the woods hunting and taking his gun and just shooting it at the edge of the woods and hoping he's going to hit a target. All right, so those 3 tips, you want to go ahead and start making those diet changes. You want to understand that swapping your proteins and your fats, you're going to see some immediate results. And you want to use a third thing, you want to use a a calculator, calorie calculator, either MyFitnessPal, MyFatSecret, or I have one on my website. You can use my personal calculator to get an idea of what your daily caloric intake needs to be. And then you just want to dial back on that. If you're going over that, then you know you're going to store that as fat, and you can't just work it off. You can add more activity, but you need to have an idea. You need to have a baseline idea of what it is you're doing. That creates motivation. If not, if you don't have a vision, then you won't, you'll feel like it's futile. You'll feel like you're just pouring lemonade into a bottomless cup. So yeah, those 3 things, and you will start to see some immediate changes. All right.